My objective is to talk about the roles and responsibility of the family. We're going to in the book of Ephesians 5 verse 33. So, but every husband must love his wife as he loves himself, and wives should respect their husbands. So let's look on the children. No. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. That word again, honor, in terms of placing value. This is the first commandment with a promise. Here's the promise. That it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So your length of days and prosperity is dependent on the value you place on your parents. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So there are several things I want to discuss when it comes down to the role of a parent and the role of a child. From the children perspective, it's to really place value on the mother and the father. When you're parents, to sum it up, what if you never grow with one of them? Do you still place value on the one that you never know? Yes. It never say the parent that is active in your life. It says you must honor, place value on both parents. And it's a commandment. And it comes with a promise that things will go well with you and you may live long in the earth. So length of days and prosperity and success of your life is tied to a promise in terms of how well you value your parents. And the key here is the obedience part. So the role of the child in the family unit is to obey the parent. Every pitney have a role to play in the house. Them can't just live life so without doing anything. They need to do something. So parents will incorporate the child in terms of the day-to-day activities, and bring them, and the role now that the parents play is to bring them up in discipline and instruction. Please ensure that you teach your children discipline. Discipline is not only when them do wrong, you beat them. It's really about sharing with them how to behave, how to act, especially in public or when they're at home, in terms of how to keep their space clean, basic things, nothing too complicated, how to handle themselves. If they're not taught how to handle themselves from home, when they become an adult, they're going to be a problem to society. So imagine a man gets married and never know how to wash a plate or take care of himself or clean him clothes or even clean a bathroom. Like, that is going to be a problem. So in terms of basic hygiene, in terms of how to manage your money, like the home is really the basic foundational training ground of the family. And that role, apart from the role that the teachers play, parents have that responsibility of executing that level of instruction as well. So the responsibilities to the child, from the child's perspective, is to obey their parents in the Lord and to value their parents, because it has a promise that it will go well for them in the land. Parents, no, please don't provoke your children to anger. It can happen. Maybe asking them to take out the garbage one day, and the child may be very. You have some people in them them don't like touch, deal with garbage. Them feel it to them it nasty, and them don't like it. The only reason why them don't like it because them don't want it to touch them hand and all these things. But you insist on them doing it and them not doing it properly, and them get so angry that them take up a stone after you for fling after you because you provoke them. It can happen. So these are the things in terms of not to press them too hard, to know their limits. So we talked about earlier in terms of to be understood. It is important that we understand our children, what they can handle. My wife would describe it, say everybody make out a different cloth, some cloth thin, some cloth thick. So if you try to pull it too hard, some cloth will tear easy, while others, no matter where you do it, never budge. So that's the whole idea in terms of how we respond to them, how we treat them, because we can instruct them and not and share with them in such a way that they are receptive without it causing conflict. And our main role is to really ensure that we give them godly instruction that sets them up for success in life in terms of how to treat others, and the whole idea of being responsible in terms of academics and striving for excellence and being not giving trouble at school. Like what if your child is bullied at school? How do you respond to that? Do you tell them so the next time the picnic come to you, talk them in their face? No, like these are the things that we have to face on a daily basis in terms of how, as a family, we train our children to be good, productive citizens. Like if they have an interest, what is your role in the interest of that child? Do you invest in it or do you discourage them from doing it because it's expensive? For example, do you try to connect them with persons that can help them grow in their interest and discover and unlock their gifting so that it can help them understand themselves and to discover their purpose and steer them down a path where they're actually successful in the area that God has the idea that God has given to them. Can you recognize it as the adult in the home? But sometimes we live with children that we don't have children personally, but there are children around us. Are we able to recognize their giftings and share ideas with them so that they themselves can see it and invest in it as well? So these are some of the things that in terms of understanding the biblical perspective of the family, the role that we play as adults, and how we can live together as a unit. The last thing that I want to share is from Acts 2:42, and this is from the church's perspective in terms of the family unit, where everybody shared what they had in terms of resources. Everybody did not call their own resources their own. They shared, they make a contribution. It's a unit. So the families are a unit. So everybody have a responsibility to contribute to the unit. So in terms of that, the resources, the contribution of making a contribution to the unit is important because without the resources that is contributed to the unit, how can we survive? Then in terms of how we share with each other. So the Acts 2:42 says the disciples were devoted to the teachings of the apostles, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Um, all the believers kept meeting together and they shared everything with each other. That's verse 44. And verse 45 says, from time to time they sold their property and other possessions and distributed the money to anyone who needed it. The believers had a single purpose and went to the temple every day. They were joyful and humble as they ate at each other's homes and shared their food. That's the final thought I would like to share in terms of the role and the responsibility of the family in terms of everybody have a contribution to make. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. It can be in terms of your skills. It can be in terms of your time. You have assets. Assets are things that are precious that add value. Your skills, your time, your ideas, your gifts are a contribution to your family. Even the very children have their own gifts and things that they can contribute that is not monetary related. The adults in the family, whether you work, whether you're a pensioner or within the same regular working age, they still make a contribution monetarily to take care of the needs of the family. But there are other things that helps to meet the needs that doesn't cost money that we can all contribute. But as the Bible shares, as the last thought that I would share in terms of about verse 46 of Acts 2 talks about the believers having a single purpose and they went to the temple every day. And this is talking about the fellowship in terms of church, the role of the church community, in terms of the family. It plays a role because they contribute something, sometimes not necessarily monetary, but the fact that you can call a pastor Williams and bounce an idea and share with him something, and based on his wisdom share another idea, and that's how we connected in terms of the family, the wider church community. that helps to play a role in our growth and development.
And that's our show. Thanks for listening. I release a new episode of this podcast every Tuesday wherever you listen to your podcast. If you find this information useful, please share this episode with a friend.